like a really full big pandemic flashback. Like I can smell the mask and the hand sanitizer. I could smell the cleanliness. Like I could hear my grandmother yelling, telling me to wear a mask. Like, hey, conspiracy cuties and pandemic survivors. Welcome back to Pretty Girl Movies, the channel where I say what everyone else is too scared to say. And today we're talking about the latest like psychological fever dream, Eddington. Now, I've got thoughts. I have some like deep spiraling, like a little bit of I had to pause and stare at the ceiling kind of thoughts. And let's just be clear from the jump. This is not a spoiler free zone. If you haven't seen the movie and you're like really precious about your spoilers or you really want to see the movie, just exit the group chat now. But if you're ready to kind of unpack this like 2020 trauma wrapped in like a dusty small town, let's just get into it then. So first, before I really jump into the review, let's just lay out the basics here. So Eddington takes place in a dusty little like New Mexico town, and population is like 2,000, 2,500 tops. And it opens in May of 2020, like right when COVID starts to like shake things up a little bit. So Joaquin Phoenix plays Joe Cross, the local sheriff who like kind of refuses to wear a mask despite having asthma. Yes, he has asthma. And like you can see his just breathing just gets worse and worse throughout the movie, but he still refuses to wear a mask. It's like whatever you think. Okay. So we have Joe, and then we have Pedro Pascal playing Mayor Ted Garcia, the town's like overly diplomatic, like kind of like therapy voice leader who wants to bring a massive tech data center into Eddington. And we know it'll drain like the town's already limited water supply, but it'll also bring like jobs and money. So capitalism kind of wins here. So that aside, now enters the personal drama. So Joe decides he's going to be running for mayor himself. It's not really political. It's not really for political reasons. It's really just for messy reasons. Why do you say that? Well, because Emma Stone plays Louise, who's Joe's looks much younger wife, and coincidentally, her and Ted like went on a date when like 20 years ago or so, and surprised she ended up being pregnant, and it ended up being aborted after that. So Joe has like a vendetta against Ted for all those reasons. So that aside as well, here's where the chaos comes in. The TikTok conspiracy spirals is going on. The Black Lives Matters protests, the anti-maskers, like the cult like brainwashing going on. Some like right-wing paranoia and like a whole town full of people just acting like they never had a single critical thought in their lives. It's like The Purge meets Nextdoor.com. It's kind of crazy. So now that we've laid the bones, you kind of get what this movie is about. Let's just get into how I actually felt about this movie and watching this movie. So, from the first frame, I knew we were in for something grim. You know, we see a dead bird, just a dead bird. Immediately, it's like the first thing you see. And that's not usually a great omen. And then true to Ari Aster's like vibe, this film kind of stays like weird, heavy, and just painfully grounded in reality. And what I did appreciate, I have to say, was like the immediate setup. It was like no 40-minute slow world introduction that we had there. Like we knew exactly where we were. We were mid-pandemic, the tensions were brewing, and everybody was just like ready to snap. It was clear, it was direct. It was a little uncomfortable, I have to admit. Now, Joe not wearing a mask despite his medical history was absolutely infuriating, and it was so accurate. It was so painfully accurate. Like I swear I've seen like a man exactly like that in real life, like wheezing at a Walmart and yelling at a teenage cashier, and like somehow still acting like he's the one with the facts about the COVID thing going on. Like it triggered like a really full big pandemic flashback. Like I can smell the mask and the hand sanitizer. I could smell the cleanliness. Like I could hear my grandmother yelling, telling me to wear a mask. Like I was really transported back in time for that. And then Joe's campaign was a disaster from the jump. Okay, he was using his own deputies to campaign for him. That's just so small town coded. Actually, like I couldn't really be mad. Just really tired of it. Like so small town coded. Meanwhile, Ted, the therapy voice mayor, tries to be like the woke one in this situation, but the minute he starts using his trauma and his like estranged son as a campaign material, was immediate eye roll. Like, sir, go to hell. But it's accurate that politicians for sure now definitely do that nowadays. So this was really accurate in that regard. And then we get to Louise, Emma Stone's character. Like, listen, I have to say, when I first saw her and Joe together, I assumed like she was his daughter. And when I realized they were married, I kind of like audibly laughed. I was like, oh. Their dynamic is kind of so off-putting. Like, Louise is an artist. She makes these creepy, detailed dolls, and her mom lives with them for now, like, during the pandemic. She's just, like, constantly watching conspiracy videos and just, like, losing her grip on reality, slowly but surely. And then she somehow gets Louise to start spiraling, too. So you watch Louise unravel scene by scene, so she basically kind of just, like, floats into the arm of a literal cult leader. It's crazy. So enter Vernon, who's played by Austin Butler, like the smooth, really charismatic, kind of terrifying. It's kind of like if Charles Manson had like a skincare routine. Like that's kind of the vibes I got. And the second he showed up, I said, "Oh yeah, she's leaving Joe for him." And she does. You know, she falls right into Vernon's like really weird little doomsday group. Like she's kind of been waiting for this her whole life, and I saw it coming. Joe was off-putting. Now, that aside, let's talk about some pacing, because this is where the movie almost lost me. Like, it's a 2 hour and 25-minute movie, and I felt every single minute of that movie. And about halfway through, I caught myself like checking the time constantly. Not because I didn't care what was going on, but because we were like just swimming in like side characters and TikTok videos and social media. Like, and it really didn't do anything for me. Like, I love a slow burn, don't get me wrong, but at times this was more of like a slow simmer that just kind of like threatened to boil over, and then just kind of sat there. Like, it never really truly boiled over until like last 45 minutes, I want to say, or so. So thankfully it does finally go full on nightmare in like the last act of the movie. We see Joel spiral hard. He kills a homeless man. He buries the body in the water. He shoots Ted and his son and starts like kind of like blaming it all on the BLM protesters. The absolute audacity of you is crazy. And then of course he frames Michael, the only black character in this movie, basically. That moment made me like pretty angry. Like, it felt a little too real. Like, Joe is what like the human embodiment of what happens when like white male power starts slipping. He was desperate. He was dangerous. He was a little bit delusional. Like, we have to admit. And then there was this whole subplot with the like BLM terrorist group that's supposedly armed and dangerous. Well, it's not supposedly. They were literally armed and dangerous. It's absurd, but it was on purpose. Like, Ari Aster isn't trying to make it super realistic. He's just showing us how misinformation works, and it was powerful. We kind of just see how like the right wing delusions take normal people and twist them into believing like enemies are everywhere. It's wild, and it was a little exaggerated, but it's also not very far off from what people really actually believed in 2020, or what was actually really happening in 2020 as well. So great job. He studied his 2020s. Let me think. Here's the part that really gagged me. I truly thought Joe was going to get COVID in this movie. Like, the whole movie, he's just out here raw dogging air. He's coughing, he's wheezing, he's taking hits of his inhaler. He's refusing to wear a mask still. I was like, oh yeah, he's gonna get it. He's gonna drop. That's how the movie ends. But no, plot twist. He doesn't die. He ends up getting stabbed in the brain. Like, stabbed close to his eye. And he somehow still survives that, but he's a literally a nonverbal vegetable. He's just sitting, staring. And, he's alive, but he's basically gone. And the kicker is, he's a mayor. He's a mayor that is a living vegetable. Like, that is his prize for all the destruction that he did, that he fought to get here. And then his mother-in-law and her boyfriend, who is like also his home aide, sleep in the same bed with him. Like, it's like three of them in the bed, and the mother-in-law basically runs to town for him while he's just kind of lying there. It's like, it's really kind of creepy and it's weird, and it's like exactly the kind of offbeat ending that Ari Aster loves. Like, it started being a little satirical. I'm gonna say that so wrong, and it was just like emotionally wrong. Meanwhile, Louise is pregnant with Vernon's baby, and she's like fully in cult mode. Like, Vernon's thriving though, and Joe's a living vegetable. Nothing has really changed. Things just kind of have been rearranged. And the film ends on that note, and not really with justice, not really with the resolution to anything. It was kind of just like a little bit more chaos, but like just rebranded as something else. And honestly, it works because Eddington isn't trying to satisfy anyone. It's not giving you hope or like closure. It's just showing you how broken things can get and how easily that brokenness becomes the new normal that we do have. And it was interesting, I will have to say the least. But here's my final take. Eddington is not going to be for everyone. Okay, it's heavy, it's long, it's weird, but it's also really well done. Like the performances are incredible, especially Joaquin Phoenix, who somehow made Joe like really uncomfortable and unsettling in certain parts, and empathetic at the same time. It was really weird. He's unhinged in a way that's almost like he's restrained. Like I don't know, it's kind of impressive. I'm not gonna lie. I wouldn't be surprised if he walks into like a war season with something in his hand, because this is the kind of movie that this is, and the kind of character that it was. But is this a movie I recommend to my mom or my cousin, or who only like watches like horror or like rom-coms? No. This is for people who like the slow burns, like the character studies, and the existential dread served with like a side of like conspiracy theories. I don't know. But anyways, that's all I got on Eddington. If you saw it, let me know what you think about it. Did it like give you like Oscar energy, or just give you some like pandemic PTSD? Either way, drop a comment below. Like this review if it made sense to you. Subscribe if you vibe with like my honesty. And hit the bell so you don't miss what I say next, because we're talking about Medea. Bye.